Hello, welcome to the Rude Boys Podcast, a podcast where ska fanatics Kyle Long, that's me.
I was gonna wait and see how long I could keep it silent before you would try to egg me on.
I'll wait too. We'll just both wait. I'm holding my breath.
That's the show. Bye, everybody.
Great. Remind me never to segue to you ever again. Can't trust you to say your own name. And Austin Robertson. There, I just did it for him. We're gonna talk about...
Are we gonna do this over again?
No, we're gonna keep... No, just for that, I'm gonna keep going. I'm leaving this all in.
Okay, cool.
We're gonna talk about ska! That's what we're here to do. Alright, so... Austin, I'm gonna introduce myself first, before you, just so you can have somewhat of an idea of how this works.
Alright, I'll study, I'll take notes.
Thank you. Yeah, I got the notes right here, so go ahead and write over them as I speak to annoy me even more so.
Cool.
Alright, so I'm Kyle. Got your Sharpie right here, you're gonna write onto your computer monitor?
Yeah.
It seems like it'll work. Alright, so I'm Kyle. I'm Kyle Long. I'm a writer. I edit audio and video, and I listen to music pretty much nonstop. It's a huge passion of mine. And I wanted to come on here, make a podcast with my buddy Austin, because we both like ska specifically.
Specifically ska, you could say.
You could say.
My name's Austin. I'm a graphic designer and illustrator, mostly, and I occasionally post semi-disappointing Overwatch highlight reels on YouTube. And that's about it, really.
That's gonna be your claim to fame.
So, I like ska music just like Kyle does. I do other video game related nonsense in my free time.
When they look back on your history, they're gonna be like, oh, it's that guy!
They'll see. They'll remember I'm always in there with my Junkrat. That is a legendary Junkrat.
Legendary Junkrat, he says. What rank are you in Overwatch? You wanna talk about it?
I'm cold.
You wanna talk about it on the podcast?
Yeah.
This is a great start. I like it already.
Don't ask me that question, Kyle.
Alright. I'm not going to ask you a question. What I'm going to talk about instead is what ska is. Alright? At least to the both of us. I know to me, I had it explained to me a very long time ago that it was just rock music with horn instruments. And that's pretty bare bones. That doesn't even get close to what it is.
It's such a shallow description and mostly incorrect.
Mostly incorrect, yeah.
Because with that description, you could also have shit like Chicago be ska music.
Yeah, that's true. That would fit into that.
I don't think that would work, mostly.
No, that completely is leaving out the origins of ska and how we even got it to America in the first place, because it wasn't. It didn't start here.
No, so don't you culturally appropriate my ska and its history? You need to be aware of that.
Fresh on the memes today, are we?
And moving right on.
Ska is not our culture.
The interesting bit about that is that ska is actually created when the Jamaicans kind of started appropriating our culture. So...
It's coming full circle now. I see where you're going with this.
We span it around. I was planning it from the beginning.
I can't wait. So...
I work on 5 levels, Kyle.
I'm over here on 2.
That's right. You stay down there, little boy.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure... Am I older than you, or are you younger than me?
Shit. Kyle, hold on. Pause the podcast. We need to figure this out.
I'm not pausing it.
Alright, I put the abacus back. Alright, so I'm gonna lay down. I made a PowerPoint. I made a nice presentation.
You did. I saw this in the notes, and I thought it was very interesting, and I also... I didn't want to read it yet, because I wanted to be surprised.
Oh no, that shit's boring. No,
but
I gotta explain it too.
I figured you just copied it from the Wikipedia article.
No.
No? Am I wrong?
No, I interpreted it my own way. It would totally be passable in an 8th grade English class.
Oh, damn. That's interesting then. I'm curious to see where you took it then. Let me hear some.
Not in a college class, though. I don't have very many citations. So.
You have no citations.
No.
You could just be making this all up for all I know.
I could be. I might be. Alright, so ska was invented on the moon about 1,000 years ago.
In 1976.
Shit, hold on, this is the wrong one. Okay, here we go.
By Barry Manilow.
Barry, get out of here. Barry, get out. I don't need you right now.
We don't need you, Barry.
I don't need Barry Manilow. I need to be man alone. Get out.
Man alone.
Alright, Barry's gone. Alright.
Get him out of here.
I see you poking through the door, Barry. That's right.
I see you're a fan of dragging jokes out for way longer than they need to be.
So, ska is a genre, the main traits of which include a walking bass line and offbeat rhythms. So, I took 2 years of music theory, almost none of which I've retained. But what I can tell you is that offbeat rhythms happen on 2s and 4s.
Yeah, so not the 1s and 3s we're used to.
If I was an idiot, like you are, Kyle, you fell for it. It's the other way around.
What?
Yeah.
Have I been lied to all my life?
You weren't paying attention, Kyle. Like I said, I'm on 5 levels and you're on 2.
I thought us whites were supposed to clap on 1 and 3.
So that's what I told you. They appropriated our culture.
You're right. They did. They took it from us.
Alright, so offbeats, 1s and 3s, ups and ups. It's the offbeat or the upbeat, depending on who you talk to. But it gives it sort of an energetic quality that I don't think many other music has. So, depending on the beats per minute, you could have something that is a cascading parade down the street, 1,000 miles an hour, or you could have kind of a relaxed stroll through the park.
But they could both be up-tempo.
Oh yeah, they're both up-tempo and they're both very balanced.
There you go. Alright, I think that's why it attracts us so much, because we both have just boundless energy for these kind of things.
I mean, you could tell in my voice, I'm exuding with energy.
Exuding.
So ska is actually reggae and rocksteady's genre daddy.
I read that first sentence and I was very confused. I've never heard anybody refer to a genre daddy. Can you explain what you mean?
Well, to simplify it for the Philistines in the audience.
Such as myself.
Exactly. The genre daddy just means that it's the ska's the progenitor of reggae and rocksteady.
So what came
predates
before?
It.
Yeah.
Well, rocksteady and reggae came after ska. So
I didn't know
they're the children of ska.
Oh.
They're next in the lineage. So in late 50s Jamaica, after World War II, radio started being like a big thing in Jamaica. So music from America specifically started heading on down to Jamaica for vacation. Jazz and R&B started being heard a lot more. They got more airtime in Jamaica. So we got people such as Prince Buster, Clement Coxone Dodd, and Duke Reed, who took the American-sounding music and jazz and R&B, mixing it into the more traditional calypso and Caribbean mento music.
The island rhythms, yeah.
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 So
okay.
So the 1s and 3s were from the original island music, as far as I remember correctly, and then they just kind of mixed with jazz and R&B to become ska.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I can see where that's coming from now.
So that's why I use the scientific term ska daddy or genre daddy.
Ska daddy's better. I like ska.
That's my band name.
You figured it out. I'm so happy for you.
Do not steal. I finally found it.
Do not steal. Yeah, copyrighted right here on this podcast. If you go look for the copyright, I swear it's there.
Yeah. It's copyright in the same way that Chris Chan copyrights his material.
Oh, good. We're going to get Chris Chan jokes on the podcast, too.
You want to do this show with me, Kyle.
Yeah, I did.
You knew this was coming.
I did want to do this show with you. This is a good pick. This is the best person I could find for the job. Does that say something about the rest of my friends, or you?
Kyle, I'm a consummate professional, and you are aware of this.
Mm-hmm. I'm not professional enough. I can't match your professionalism. I can only attempt.
Hey. So, the interesting thing about this early version of ska in Jamaica was that it was happening around the time that Jamaica regained its independence. It gained its independence from Britain. So, a lot of the Jamaican music around the time was kind of getting a little more jovial. They're all pretty jazzed about the idea of not being subservient to Britain. It was pretty cool. It was on fleek.
Right? They said that.
Yeah. So lots of musicians took ska, and they were all singing pretty upbeat music about independence. bands like the Scatolites.
Yep, that was a big name.
It was a very big name in the early time. And they would do lots of music about how pleased they were with the current changes. Apart from that, the old-time ska like that also did lots of covers. So we saw bands in that time and in that area, they would take bands, music like the Beatles and Motown, and even scores from films, and do ska covers. And that's still a practice that ska bands love to do nowadays.
That's so crazy. I thought that was such a modern thing. I had no idea that was happening back then.
Oh no. Like, I know for certain that I would listen to the Scatolites sometimes, and they would occasionally do movie film scores in ska versions.
Really? That's crazy. I feel like I learned something today, Austin.
The more you know.
You taught me something about ska that I never knew before.
Professor Robertson's in the house.
Breaking
it down for all the cool kids out there.
So we have a bit of the ska's origins now. Make it clear what exactly what it grew out of.
Mm-hmm. Should I continue the history lesson?
There's a lot more here. I see you got a couple more paragraphs.
Here, I'll rap with you kids. I'll make it easy to digest. So.
Should I beatbox?
Nah, not this part of the show.
Alright.
Maybe later.
Alright, sure. Save it for the outro.
Yeah. So, the British at this time, they're all pulling out of the country at the time,
yeah.
But the influence was still strong. At the same time that all this was happening, there was a certain subculture in Britain called the mod culture.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this.
They are cool cats.
Cool cats.
So if you think of like being cool in 1960s Britain, like the mod culture is like the people you think of.
The only thing it makes me think of is Mad Mod from 2000s.
You know what? Mad Mod probably takes a lot from the mod culture. Actually,
okay.
He does actually take a lot. He's
that
a little
makes
more.
Sense.
The mod culture in the 70s kind of it fractured apart, and some of it became more colorful. I would say Mad Mod came from that section.
Oh, okay. So from the flagrantly colorful section, not so much the cool cat. What does it say? Dressing well?
Yeah, dressing well.
Dressing well. So. I'm trying to make it more digestible.
Yeah, you're doing a great job, Kyle. I'm the professor. Rap with me.
I'm just interrupting the professor every 3 minutes.
You gotta raise your hand. That's a demerit.
This is a demerit. That's a technical foul.
Right. So the mod culture took ska and really rode with it. That's a pun you don't understand because the mod culture were also crazy into Vespas and scooters.
Rode with it.
Yeah. So the mod culture, if you basically could picture Mad Mod but monochrome him, so he's all black and white.
Rode with it.
You got it. That's the joke.
They rode with it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
one more time.
Of the second. Rode with it.
There we go.
They're green with it.
Now it's funny again. The mod culture were all about, the way I like to summarize the mod culture, it's about looking good and doing the best you can in bad circumstances.
What was bad that was going on with the Britons in the 60s?
It was 20 years after the World War, so the Second World War, just in case you aren't that great at history.
I'm terrible at history.
That's why I'm the professor, Kyle. So after the World War, I believe there was some economic issues going on with Britain at the time, but especially racial issues. So there was lots of upheaval, especially in the youth scene in Britain at the time. So, and we'll come back to that in a minute as I'm starting to get into the eras and waves, because the mod culture at the time, there were other subcultures like the rockers and all that, and there was actually a huge fight between the two.
Really?
It pushed the mods, like there was a huge riot. It was basically the greasers in America, like attacking other greasers.
but in the Brit lands.
But in Britain, so there was more tea involved. So it was a huge upheaval. The mod scene was known for just like hanging out at dance clubs all night and doing amphetamine.
Amphetamine.
Yeah, that's something that was big in the time. You gotta do that amphetamine to keep you awake.
Gotta do that amphetamine.
Yeah, but the main style that these guys were going for, it was coming back to like short hairstyles and trim suits. So it was like very homogeneous, almost like what the Beatles were looking like in the early days.
I was about to say kind of like the Beatles, right? With the not the bowl cuts, but kind of like that, and like suits. I remember.
Yeah, so that was the kind of the mod look.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. All right.
And the reason why that still looks good is because they were modern. They were modern. They were like the first youth fad that was looking forward.
Oh, what a play on words.
Yeah, so the modders were like, they were looking forward in time. They were looking for kind of like a more timeless style, I imagine. So
That's so crazy to think about. Because now we remember that as being very past tense and classic.
yeah, I mean, it's very interesting.
50 years, yeah.
I mean, if you know like the Toasters, Two Tone Army,
Yeah.
the lyrics to it, it's a modern movement, but it's all about roots. It's like, it's very in tune with the kind of the mod scene. The mod scene, like, heavily, it put a big imprint on what ska would be for the Western world and going forward.
That's awesome. I didn't know about any of this.
It was a rad time to be in Britain, minus all the other kind of shitty things that was happening.
Minus the not rad things about Britain.
That's the mod scene. I wanted to take a look at that just because that's where a lot of the mentality and the style of even current ska and historical ska comes from.
Right. So to recap, we started out in Jamaica, right, in the late 50s.
It started in the mid to late 50s
Yep.
and really came into its own in the 60s.
Yeah.
And kind of became the genre of choice in the 60s in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm. And then when the British got a hold of it again later on.
Yeah.
And
Those
that's
greedy-
how
those-
we got to the
those-
mod culture. Don't say what I think you're gonna say.
Always taking shit from the Jamaicans. They took it again. They brought it home.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, bother.
Oh bother. Alright, so
That's a British thing.
we covered a bit of the origins on that, but there's a lot of different styles in ska.
Yes, ska is an evolutionary genre for sure.
It's very flexible, and there's a lot of different people who build their bands now. Because I looked through all the ones that I talked to you about this before, the ska compilation album, What Do You Know About Ska Punk? That a couple of really nice folks put out on Bandcamp last year and this year. There's 2 volumes now. And there's so much stuff that's tied to a time, like a decade. Like 60s, 70s, 90s. That's kind of so interesting because a lot of other people that list their genres would just mention it as, a type of the genre, like a subgenre. Like post-punk.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is I think ska, as it moved forward, it was kind of moved forward all in unison.
It's defined by its differences in time.
That's why I love it as like an evolutionary thing. Is that it's a lot like rock. Like rock went through its different phases throughout. Like you would not rock in the 60s is not rock in the 80s.
No, they're so extremely different.
And almost the exact same thing goes for ska at a specific time. So this is when we come into the eras and the waves.
The
of
waves.
ska.
I could not wait to talk about the waves with you, dude.
So ska has 3 defined areas. It has 3 defined eras. And there's kind of a 4th one where we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
The first one being that sort of initial Jamaican ska from the 60s when it was like really big.
60s ska. Very chill. You can clearly hear island rhythms. It's very close to reggae. It's but a little bit, it's more upbeat. And it has the same kind of styles that we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm. And notable bands from this time, like the Scatolites, like we mentioned before. But also Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Yes, Bob Marley and the Wailers. Oh my goodness. I specifically remember listening to a lot of their stuff when I was working 6 years ago. I think a little bit. I think it was when I met you, I think.
Possibly.
I
About
think
6
it was,
years ago?
2012, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it had to have been. And I was listening to them a lot at work. And boy, it is a fun listen. It's very, very interesting hearing what is listed as ska, and I had never even heard before at the time. I was so used to the later stuff that I hadn't gone back and listened until just about then. And there's a lot of it on Spotify.
Ska was the progenitor of reggae and all that, so when people think of Bob Marley, they think about his reggae stuff.
Yes.
But he was part of the old guard with ska before.
It's true.
So in this era, I don't have any of this in the show notes, but I'm gonna lay it out because it's kind of important to the feel of ska. Because of the time, with the Britons being pushed out and all that, just getting their independence from it.
Yeah.
The ska was initially, from the beginning, kind of put with a political edge almost. So from this time in Jamaica, and even more so when it moved over to the mod culture and all that, ska has always kind of been part of the disenfranchised youth.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff about revolution and taking back what's theirs.
So there's always been this kind of ever-present political edge to ska music.
Yes, very much so. It's a lot of rebellion, even back then.
So from this time, that's the first wave is that classical era.
Yep. Okay.
And then the second wave is the two-tone revival.
This is exciting.
So this takes place in Britain, but it's in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So the two-tone revival is when ska was kind of being merged together with the modern punk of Britain in that time.
What were some punk bands in Britain at that time? I'm trying to think. The very first name that jumped to me was the Sex Pistols. Very much a punk band. Yep.
I was trying to find them in my head.
Yep, late 70s.
AC/DC count?
No, I don't think AC/DC counts. But I can name two more that you might know.
Yeah, let me hear.
The Clash, formed in
Clash.
1976, part of the original wave of British punk.
I know that a lot of modders kind of started jumping over to the Who later.
Yes, that was closer and more so in the 80s.
Yeah, so they started the modders later on started jumping onto bands like the Who and all that. I don't know much about punk in that era, especially not in Britain.
I think it's interesting. It's an interesting thing to talk about because that's what we were just discussing before, how it started bleeding into the modern punk at the time.
Ska is very good at just mixing with anything.
It's true.
And it's
true.
It's got a lot to do, I think, with the sort of youth rebellion culture.
We're going to talk about covers a lot. I just know it.
They're so good,
It lends itself really well. They're great. It lends itself really well to adapting other cultures, which, as you can see by the next line, goes into that.
So in this era of ska was, like I said, the modders. Some of the issues they were dealing with back in the time was racial inequality, kind of racial tension, especially in Britain. It was rampant. Especially ska was like the voice for the youth just trying to unify.
Yeah.
A lot of the ska bands back then were kind of uncharacteristically racially diverse.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
So the foremost, I think the one everyone thinks of is the Specials.
Yes.
So they've got almost every one of their songs has got a political bend to it. Mm-hmm. But they're so good.
I love the Specials. Oh, they're great. One of the top 10 ska bands I think ever.
I mean, they're very emblematic of what ska is.
Yes.
What it would become.
You want to point to somebody and say it's ska. Show people the Specials.
And then we've got the English beat, as they were known in America, or the beat in England, or the British beat in Australia.
I didn't know they had that many names. I just figured the beat is good enough.
I don't know, there might have been some kind of legal issue in America. There might have already been a beat.
there have been several beats. We're gonna have to pick something else.
Just a whole farm of beats out here.
Yeah.
Keeps planning all these beats.
Another one of my favorites, though, is Madness.
Yeah, Madness is brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. Adapted with the times very well and have a huge backlog of music to listen to.
I think they're still going, too.
They are. They are absolutely still going. They're still touring.
It's brilliant.
It's been 40-something years, and they're still touring.
See, there's something I love about there's a lot of silliness in ska sometimes.
Yes!
I love that you can have kind of a tinge of silliness and things, and Madness is very silly sometimes.
So many songs about political inequality, racial diversity, and then we get songs. Then we get songs like Our House.
Yeah.
By Madness. And My Girl.
Yeah.
I like My Girl a lot too. My Girl's mad at me.
Yeah, that one's very interesting.
Yeah. I love it. Have you seen the video?
I remember watching it a while back.
Yeah, it's so great. He makes these ridiculous facial expressions while he dances around on this like bar stage.
Their videos were very silly.
Yes, very silly.
I remember The House of Fun I liked a lot from them.
Yeah.
Welcome to the House of Fun.
Welcome to the House of Fun.
They've got a rally song for, I think it was like a fake dodgeball team, or maybe it's a real dodgeball team called the Chipmunks or something.
The Chipmunks, really?
I don't know if it's what team it is, what sport they're playing, but they just got a song about the Chipmunks, the team they love so much.
That's perfect. No, that fits perfectly for Madness, man. Team of Chipmunks.
All right, now we're getting into the thick of it now. So
Yeah.
this is the big one.
Yeah, this is where it all blows wide open.
This is ska going worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide, Pitbull shows up.
In the 80s, the third wave happened.
The what?
And the third wave.
The third wave
The third wave.
of ska.
The good one.
Wow. We're going to have some old heads listen to this podcast, and they're going to be very upset with what you just said.
Oh, shut up. I'm one of them as well.
You're right. You're an old head.
But I do love the third wave. During the 80s, bands all over the planet started getting into ska for some reason. I do not know why.
For some reason. All right, so we haven't really dug into the origins of why ska became popular.
I'm thinking it's probably just because of music being able to be traded around so much. Bands like The Specials getting more airtime, and especially Madness.
Yeah, there was so much British music coming over to America in the late 80s. I remember.
It was prime time. Ska was making the rounds. And in almost every major country, ska got a foothold in. So, and this third wave goes from the 80s and peaks in the 90s just about everywhere. And especially in America.
Especially California.
Specifically California.
Yeah, specifically.
In America, it grew from the punk scene. So the punkers, some small set of the already small set of punkers in America, took it and melded it with their own music. This is the special version of ska, where the guitar riffs were times a billion, because they weren't really very prevalent before.
Right.
And horn sections became a lot louder.
Yeah, we wanted everything to be louder and more bombastic.
Which is amazing.
That's it. That's pretty amazing, I'm not gonna lie.
It's so good.
We got a lot more energy and better live shows, in my opinion, because of it.
So the Toasters, like we mentioned before, they're given a lot of credit for kind of laying down the groundwork in America.
Yeah.
Because they formed in 81 in New York City. Or over there in New York somewhere.
We also took their song for our theme song here.
Yeah.
Excellent two-tone army.
We love the Toasters.
Yeah, we do love the Toasters.
They're almost as iconic as the Specials, if not more so.
Yeah, I would say pretty darn iconic.
So the Toasters formed in New York in 81.
So, earlier than I thought, yeah.
Yeah, they gave ska a foothold, sort of, on the East Coast.
In New York, really? That's where they formed?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And the band called the Uptones formed the very same year in California. So we had the East Coast and the West Coast.
Wow. Okay, so that makes sense.
So,
I don't actually know of the Uptones, though.
Neither do I, really. But they were also given as much credit as the Toasters at the time, just for being like the start of it on the West Coast.
I wonder how many albums they put out.
Well, we might do a future episode on it.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't see why not. We got a lot to cover. Alright, so after that happened in 81, so we have all throughout the 80s, the third wave was starting to pick up. They were picking it up, as they say.
Yeah. We had bands like the Mighty Bosstones kind of starting
yes,
in
the Mighty Bosstones.
The mid-80s.
Well, late 80s. Their first album is from 89.
Yeah. And in 93, the Bosstones were signed onto Mercury Records, kind of becoming like the first mainstream ska band at the time.
Was it in 93, really?
Yep, 93 they were signed on the Mercury Records.
I thought it was later than that. What was their album that went gold?
Off the top of my head, I did not put that in the show notes.
I'm trying to... I have all their albums. In 93, that must have been Don't Know How to Party.
Possibly. I know that the record did go gold, though. So it gave them sort of the first big success in the ska.
It reached Billboard charts in 1993. Look at that. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so they were like the big spark for the mainstream ska movement. And from there, other bands like Real Big Fish would make hit singles like Sell Out.
Ooh, yeah!
And then we had Spiderwebs by No Doubt as well.
Walking in the spiderwebs.
Which did very good.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's so good.
Just a Girl came out in that same album.
The other thing I love about ska is that they've got there's a lot of female vocalists like heading bands.
Yes,
which
there are. Oh my god,
they're so
I can't
good.
wait till we should do an entire episode just on female vocalists because there's so many great ones.
They're very talented. A lot of the best bands are from there.
Yeah. And whatchamacallit, I was gonna say Tragic Kingdom. We gotta talk about that too. Mm-hmm. A very important album in that peak ska days.
We'll be talking about more of one specific female vocalist a little bit later.
Oh boy, I can't wait.
So I'm gonna transition. We were talking about America, and this time we're gonna talk about Japan now.
Japan?
Yeah, Japan.
What about how do they factor into this? How did the Japs factor into this?
How did...
Did I catch you off guard with that one?
Gonna do that a little bit, but try. It's my instinct to always run with the ball, but at this time I think I'm just gonna leave it where it is.
Oh no, come back!
So,
Professor, I'm sorry.
This is your ball.
I didn't mean...
Demerit.
Okay, so, you see in Japan, ska was pretty big.
It was very big, and it's very awesome.
It's
because a lot of the
surprisingly big. I did not understand it at all.
God, I love it. I was talking with some of the pen pals I've got over there now, and if you say ska, the only thing a lot of the mainstream people over there now will point at is to the specific band, the Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra.
Yes,
a lot of them,
TSPO.
They're amazing, but a lot of them don't realize that ska is a genre in it of itself. They'll just they just think ska is a fun word they made up.
Fun word they made up.
So
that's great.
I think that's just the mainstream people I've talked to. But
there's a huge thing I found out. I did some research on this a while ago when I was curious, and apparently the Japanese love Jamaicans. They absolutely love their culture. They ate it up in the 80s when they brought it over. When they started immigrating more Jamaican people, they thought it was friggin' phenomenal. And that's, I think, why we got so many bands that started aping their style.
I do love how the Japanese just have eras where they'll jump into like a certain culture and they'll just like be really into it. Because I remember Japanese jazz just being like so good.
Yeah.
In recent times. Speaking of, actually, the piano player in Tokyo Ska Orchestra is probably my favorite keyboard player ever.
Really?
He is a master at the piano. It is fantastic.
That everybody in that band is incredibly talented.
In Japan, they had that whole thing. They had the 80s, third wave, same as America. Yeah. Tokyo Ska Orchestra was formed in 1985.
Yes, long time ago. They had a long career. They've been in it since the beginning, pretty much.
They're still releasing new albums, almost yearly sometimes. Actually, we'll talk about them more in a future episode, I'm sure, because one of my favorite ska albums is from them, and it's very recent too. Yeah, so we had several bands come out of Japan at the time, and a lot of media out of Japan that we like, video games, anime, all that kind of other shit. You can have some ska kind of seeping in there sometimes.
Yeah, especially in the 90s, early 2000s, which is still when it was peaking in America too.
So which is why the PS1 game Incredible Crisis has such an amazing soundtrack.
Teneo's Incredible Crisis, yep. I'm so glad you brought that up in the notes.
It is brilliant. I love that game.
It's great. It's very wacky. It's wacky ska, wacky tobacco.
It's so good. And then, like you mentioned earlier, the Sonic Adventure Battle 2 has got some ska tunes heading in there.
Yeah, Metal Harbor is the one you can point to and say that's definitely a ska song. And that game came out in, I want to say 2001? Hold on, let me check.
I think it was 2003.
Because, was it really?
I think
no,
so.
It was 2001. No, yeah, 2003 was when it came out on the GameCube. It came out on the Dreamcast in 2001.
I only had it on the GameCube. I'm not a huge Sonic fan.
That's fair. But I had it on the GameCube too. I remember. I didn't have a Dreamcast. I don't think many people did.
Alright, so that was Japan. We're done with Japan now.
Okay.
Put it away. We're going to talk about Australia just for a little bit.
Australia? I'm learning even more, dude.
So the only reason really worth mentioning Australia is because in the 80s, they had the same scholarships as everybody else. And out of that came Melbourne Ska Orchestra.
I've never heard of these.
They are fantastic. Melbourne Ska Orchestra is actually, they're less like a lot of the third wave kind of ska bands.
Right. So not as punky.
They're a lot more traditional, honestly.
So closer to the earlier ska stuff.
And mostly it is.
That's good.
It's still, they are very good to listen to for very long amounts of time. So we'll run through some of the bands in the notes here. I've got the Toasters.
Yeah.
I've got Real Big Fish.
Yep.
I got the Boss Tones.
You mentioned No Doubt.
Yep, everything we listen to, basically.
Yeah.
And roughly 33% of the Tony Hawk game soundtracks.
I'm so glad you mentioned those. Yeah, you didn't mention Goldfinger. Because
No,
they're all over the Tony... Superman is like the #1 Tony Hawk song.
The reason why I didn't list all of them is because we could literally sit here off the top of our heads and list like 90 bands from this era.
We could. This is we're very familiar with the third wave ska. This is where we mainly got into it.
Not in real time, unfortunately. We're just a few years beyond that.
A few years. But what happened after this third wave? Is this what we've gotten from the recent years? Is this just this?
Well, much in the same way that we're like, people are still like debating what kind of, if we're in a new era or not in human culture, whether or not we're past like the Ice Age and all that nonsense.
We are debating that, aren't we?
Yeah. So we're not certain if we're in a fourth wave or not. Sometimes people refer to it as ska fusion.
Fusion, really?
Fusion. It's like Metroid Fusion.
I like saying that out loud. Yeah, ska fusion.
Yeah, ska fusion. Apply directly to the forehead. So like we said, ska is very immutable. Immutable is the exact opposite word.
Still around. Still very much around. Still has a huge subculture.
It's very big.
I was very sad to see there was going to be a documentary funded about it last year, and it didn't get funded. Really good director on his hands. A lot of good interviews in that, too. There's a trailer for it on Kickstarter, I think.
That's a shame. Maybe another time.
Yeah, maybe another time. Maybe we still need to give it a little bit more time. Maybe we need another new band to just, like, come out of the woodwork and surprise people. Maybe it'll come back around. Maybe it'll be like a boomerang. Maybe the fourth wave will come around.
I felt like a lot of people kind of got into ska like around the time Mumford & Sons was big. Like those kind of indie bands with huge rosters of people and more instruments than
big live
stuff.
shows, a lot of people, a lot of instrumentation. Very much well known in the ska scene.
Yeah, so ska fusion. I think because ska is very easy to mix with anything. It's the carbon of music genres.
Very fluid. It's not the mercury?
No.
No.
I'm not talking, we're not talking phases, Kyle. We're talking chemistry.
Is it a solid or a liquid? Tell me.
Kyle.
Yes.
Demerit.
Oh man, that's 3 already. I'm gonna get kicked out of the class.
So, ska is still big. The numbers are still, I would almost say, on par with what they were during the third wave. It's not really declined as much as it's kind of plateaued and is just kind of hanging around the same spot.
I'd say that too. I mean, we don't see it charting on the Billboard anymore.
No, but maybe it'll come back around.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for. I think it's very culture dependent. I think we're in a very different era right now. What with the rise of electronic music in the late 2000s.
Maybe if ska can get more like rap ska, like what Mustard Plug tried to do sometimes.
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't know. If we, I'm so sad about what's popular nowadays. Honestly.
Oh no!
I'm one of those guys.
Don't be that old head, man. Don't do that.
Like I'm gonna rhyme cake with cake for the next 3 minutes and sell 1 billion albums.
I'm glad. I'm so proud of you. You're very open to new music, aren't you?
Fucking stupid.
I can't wait to get into some of the weirder shit with you and hear you just go off on it like, this is terrible. Kyle, why would you make me listen to this?
Kyle, she gonna blow me like an oboe. No.
I can name some other worse lyrics
now.
No,
that's not what it was. The bad lyric was, she gonna blow me like a cello.
She blow that dick like a cello.
Even better.
Yeah, then he complained online because he's like, first of all, my everyone saw it, no one fixed me, no one fixed it, and I learned my lesson.
It's your fault for not autocorrecting me.
He's like, I thought a cello was the thing Squidward played. And then he made it even better because he's like, no, that's a flute. These is what's popular. I don't remember the name of the dude. It's a real thing, though.
Oh my god, it's a real thing. Oh, it's Lil Yachty, that's right. She blow that dick like a cello. That's what he's from. This was last year. This was May last year.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
It's not silly on purpose like ska can be.
On purpose, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's silly by complete accident.
Unbelievable. Speaking
of silly, I wanted to get into, now that we've done all the basics of what ska is, as well as what some people might know it from.
Yeah.
I want to talk about how we specifically got into ska.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna take off my professor's hat and coat.
Yeah, give it to me.
I've got the tweed jacket with the patches on the elbows.
Oh, nice.
So,
that's a good look.
Here, have a feel.
All right, Oh, it's all.
I know, right? It's great. Here, don't ruin it. Here, take this jacket.
Right, sorry. Oh, okay.
You're the professor now.
On the wall over here. All right. Speaking of silly, I was very young back in the peak Newgrounds era. I don't know if anybody knows about this, but Newgrounds was a website
Kyle,
for
what's
cartoons
Newgrounds?
and games. I'm getting to that. Tom Folk made a website in the late 90s, early 2000s, where people could get together and upload cartoons, games, whatever they really wanted to, just for free. And you could hang out. You could get in touch with a bunch of people who also made similar things like you with a little program called Adobe Flash. And boy, I was not good with the program. I was very young. But I sure did like watching cartoons as a kid.
Wait, what was that program called again? Adobe
Flash.
The Savior of the Universe?
That's right. Adobe Flash.
The Savior of the Universe.
Yeah. It's a Flash Gordon joke. That's what he just dropped on me.
That's a joke a lot of people will like.
I'm telling you, guys. You gotta let me have this Flash Gordon joke. Leave it in. You gotta stick up for your own joke, right? Anyway, guys.
Like, comment, subscribe if you like the Flash Jordan joke.
No. Flash Jordan? Air Jordans? Michael Gordon?
Kyle, don't make me actually laugh. It's showing my humanity, Kyle.
You're showing your humanity by your incapability to laugh.
I'm gonna walk away in my Flash Yeezys, Kyle.
Oh, good. All right, cool. Show me up. Turn around. Whip out the Yeezys. I saw cartoons, is the point. I like cartoons on TV. I said, hey, I got a computer. I'm gonna go look up cartoons on the internet. And there were some bad cartoons on there. But there were also some really good ones. And some ones that touched me in my little heart, right here in my chest. I know you can't see where I'm pointing, but here it is. One of them was called Average Man, and it was a Mario cartoon. I don't know if you've ever seen this one.
I don't think I have, actually.
If you haven't, I will link it to you. It is still up. And it was credited to Real Big Fish. And I love the use of horns, and I love the singer's voice. I thought it was very, very fun. I liked it a lot. It was great. And the reason it was credited to Real Big Fish was because it was on the international version of Cheer Up, specifically the Japanese version. And the lead singer is not the lead singer of Real Big Fish. It's Scott. It's Scott Klopfenstein.
We all love Scott.
We do love Scott. I can't wait to talk about Scott later. I loved his voice, so it's interesting that the first song I heard that really got me into ska was A, not even really a ska song, and B, not even by the person that it said it was by. It should be credited to Scott's band, Littlest Man Band, which had Dan Regan on the horns, who was also in Real Big Fish. And I thought that was so freaking cool. I liked the music a lot, but I didn't think much of it until I saw a couple more flashes. I saw one for Pool Party by the Aquabats.
I love that song.
Yeah, I love that song. It's a great one. And it used Ed and Eddie characters for the Flash.
That's appropriate.
It was a good one. It was perfect. And also, there was a cartoon for Trendy by Real Big Fish, which is a very fun song. That was in 2005, I think, because Trendy was on You're Not Happy. We're Not Happy, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, because it wasn't on Cheer Up.
I think maybe it was on Turn Off the Radio.
I don't think Trendy was on Turn the Radio Off, was it?
Let me do a quick look at me Spotify.
Me Spotify.
Let me do a quick look.
Oh, no, you're right, it was. Yeah, it was on Turn the Radio Off. You're right, my bad.
It's
an older song than I thought.
Can I have a cookie?
Yeah, you can have a cookie. Here you go.
Sweet.
You can have a cookie, Professor. I can see you imagine, like, putting your legs up in the chair and just nomming on the cookie, like, I got a cookie.
It's the best job.
I have the best job. So I got into ska at a very early age. From, like, the age of 9. I'm dating myself here. I gotta romance myself. I gotta lick the marble. I gotta date the marble. I gotta be the marble.
That joke would have been funny when you were 9, Kyle.
Exactly. It's a SpongeBob joke. I just stole it. But still, I got into ska at a very early age, thanks to the Aquabats and the Real Big Fish. And I bought a couple albums I had my dad buy them for me because I was too young to just go out and buy albums. And Spotify didn't exist. Spotify and iTunes were not necessarily around. The only thing I had was LimeWire and Napster, and that was just stealing.
Yeah.
And stealing is wrong, right?
The more you know.
Yeah. I'm telling you right now, it's a fact. All right? I never stole any... I'm winking. Any music through Napster or LimeWire at all.
And knowing is half the battle.
Yeah. That's a G.I. Joe reference. That's great for the old heads, right?
This show is targeted towards people around the age of 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can tell by the jokes we say.
So, judging by the type of music I like to listen to around the time, which was Real Big Fish and Aquabats, and I also got a Less Than Jake album, Hello Rockview, which I hope you've heard. Have you heard it?
I don't know if I've heard that Less Than Jake album.
It was very big. You probably will recognize the cover art if you look it up real quick. Hello Rockview. Great album.
Oh yeah, I've seen this one.
Yeah, very punky. So I was into the punk part of ska, the ska punk era. But as time went on, and I kept listening to more and more ska from 2005 to now, I found myself listening to more of, like, the reggae stuff and the two-tone stuff. Like, the earlier stuff. I went backwards, basically. I didn't start from reggae, or the Jamaican ska, and go forward. I went backwards from ska punk. Which I'm sure is, plenty of people can agree with me there. Can be in the same thing. If they even chose to keep listening to ska music, which, I hope they did. I hope they didn't just let it go away.
It kind of depends. It's like an acquired taste for a lot of people.
Yes, that is true. It is an acquired taste. I know a lot of people that I'm going to show this podcast to, and they're going to be like, I don't even care about ska. But hear me out. Hear me out. There's a lot we can talk about, and there's a lot of interesting things, even if you're not, like, into it from right away. It's not always so easily accessible. But it's not inaccessible either.
I mean, this is probably, like, a great way to get into it. And not just because I'm using subliminal messaging to kind of influence the listener.
Oh, good. That's always helpful. That'll get some people in, right?
Listen to ska.
Listen to ska. Listen always. After all that, the whole reason I decided to do this podcast was because I've listened to it a lot. Like, almost daily for the past 2 years. Specifically because of that compilation album that came out, and because I got you here, my buddy Austin, who is also a fan of ska, and is pretty much the only one I can talk to about this stuff.
It's not ubiquitous. A lot of people, I listen to ska, and people will hear it, and they're like, that's some good jazz, and I'm like, there's so much wrong with what you just said to me.
That's some good jazz. I like the part with the horn.
Yeah. I'm a trumpet player, and
that's true. You do play an instrument. You got one up on me.
I know all the different kinds of music you can put a trumpet into, and ska is not jazz.
Ska is not jazz. There's maybe some jazz influence, especially with slower songs, but I don't. I mean, I can't even say those two words together.
Yeah, I mean, it's got jazz in it, like
jazz ska.
A while back, but in the same way that, like. Not to put down jazz at all, but it's like, you don't point at a monkey and be like, that's a people. There's been some evolution. Sometimes I'm in the mood for monkeys, and sometimes I want a people. Most of the time I want a people.
Most of the time, but there's the off chance. You want the monkey.
We're still talking about music.
We are still talking about music. I swear we're not talking about monkeys. And so that's basically how I got into ska. I wanted to also ask you about you getting into ska. I didn't read any of this in your notes because I really wanted to hear it straight from your mouth hole.
Mine's not as interesting as yours.
Not as interesting? Okay.
No. I was big into Newgrounds at the time as well.
Mm-hmm. In 2003?
2003, 2005, all that kind of time.
Yeah.
I think I was there to play online games mostly.
Right. There was a lot there. There was a lot of, like, you remember, like, armor games and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Toss the Turtle, big time back.
Yes! Oh, Toss the Turtle. I'm so glad Speedo still does a lot of stuff. He's great.
So, there was that, and then the not so public section of Newgrounds that we all, a lot of people in our generation probably.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't go there, 4-year-olds.
Yeah. The main demographic for our podcast.
There's a lot of adult content on Newgrounds, believe it or not.
Some good shit.
It's by everyone, for everyone. So, if everyone including 18 and up.
Yeah, don't look up who Shadman is.
Don't, maybe we shouldn't name names. Don't look up Zone 10, kids.
We'll leave those in. That's a special treasure hunt for someone who wants to discover some weird shit.
Oh, sure, why not?
Alright, so so I never really saw any of this stuff you're talking about. I have not seen any of the videos that you mentioned.
Oh, we gotta watch them. It's gonna be great.
The only thing, even related to Newgrounds and Ska, that I have on me is that Spaz Kid made a music video for I Know You Too Well to Love You Anymore.
Yeah, Corey Spaz Kid in 3D.
Yeah, and I saw that on YouTube. So
you didn't even see that on Newgrounds, where it was originally posted?
No, I only saw that on YouTube.
Wow. Yeah, I Know You Too Well, which came out on Candy Coated Fury in 2012.
Yeah, an album I enjoy.
That's a lot later. That's many years after me.
Yeah, that was the first time I've seen anything related to Newgrounds and Ska.
Right, those two things together, but what was the first thing you kind of saw of Ska? Do you remember?
Yeah, even this was a lot after you, actually. About 2010, maybe?
That was before me.
So...
Oh, sorry, you mean when after I got into it, yeah. I thought you meant before you met me.
No. So like I said, I'm a trumpet player.
Yep.
And I do love trumpet music.
As you should.
And
I'd hope so. I'd hope you're not playing a trumpet and you hate it.
No, it's brilliant. So I was listening to lots of trumpet music on Spotify. Or Spoofy, as the cool kids call it.
In 2010? You must have been on the train early then. I don't remember Spotify getting popular until like 2012.
I had it like as soon as it was available.
Wow. Alright, you clearly were into the music streaming then.
It was very convenient for me at the time.
That's awesome.
I had it basically as soon as it was available. I was listening to the trumpet music on there.
The trumpet music?
I still had ads. It was mostly things, instrumental covers of things, and Al Hirt. A lot of Al Hirt was on there.
A lot of Mexican ska, I know, got put on Spotify very early.
I actually don't know a whole bunch about Mexican
Dude, we gotta talk about Mexican ska. Oh my god, you don't know about that?
I know that the Tokyo Paradise Orchestra has like a Mexican thing.
No. I'm talking about the really super Spanish sector of ska.
The only like Mexican music I was ever listening to was the Gypsy Kings.
Oh, really? The Gypsy Kings.
I love the Gypsy Kings.
I like them too. But no, dude. As soon as I was listening to Aquabats when I was working in 2012, 2013, and whenever I would put them on Spotify, I would get Mexican ska songs on Spotify, and it was like an abundance of them. And I was like, what? Somebody must have put a lot of songs on here. And it was different bands. It wasn't just one band. It was different. And so there's another ska podcast I want to shout out that I listen to, not on Spotify, but on Google Play or whatever, Play Music. I'm trying to remember. Oh, the Ska Geek Show. That's it. Yeah, the Ska Geek Show. It has a very catchy intro. Everywhere I go, I listen to the Ska Geek Show. And it's just a playlist. The guy introduces a couple things, and then he just, like, radios through a playlist of, like, songs people sent him from their bands, or songs he finds, and there's a lot of Mexican ska in there. And I thought it was
pretty rad.
Really cool. Yeah, it's really rad. I would really like to give a huge shout out to that guy, because I would not have found half the bands I want to talk about later down the line without him. So, thank you for keeping this stuff alive, Ska Geek. You're awesome, dude. I'm going to send this to you also.
Yeah.
So, sorry for the tangent.
Yeah, we love tangents.
Yeah, that's true.
But so it was lots of trumpet music, Al Hirt, and all that kind of nonsense, and then it would just play on. I'd have a radio going, and then all of a sudden, just like, it'll suggest music to you. Mm-hmm. In the same way you started with Aquabats and ended up in Mexico. Something...
What a segue!
Something that we've all had happen before, So,
How did I get in Mexico?
Shit, I'm in Mexico.
Oh, shit. Andale, arriba!
I was listening to, the Aquabats.
We're all about cultural appropriation on this podcast.
It's good. We love it. It's a mixture of cultures.
What song were you talking about?
Well, I was listening to Al Hirt, and then all of a sudden, I get this crazy energetic song in my ear. and it's The World Is New by Save Ferris.
Yes! Great song. Very indicative of that time.
So this was like the first time this has happened, and it was super different from what I was listening to at the time. So I went to the whole album. The album is It Means Everything by Save Ferris, and I listened to the whole damn thing.
When did that one come out?
That one, 97?
97, that's the same year Sellout came out.
Yeah, so I believe it was 97.
And there's their Come On Eileen cover, too.
Which is like the whole reason that they're super popular.
Yes, that cover is the Take On Me of Save Ferris.
It's the Take On Me cover and the Save Ferris cover and so many other covers are just examples of why I think ska music just improves everything.
That's a good attitude to have.
They are better than the original, for me.
You know what? I tend to agree.
So, and I was a big fan of like 80s music and all that, so hearing the Come On Eileen version done in ska and liking it a whole lot better, it opened up a whole new thing to me. So I finally, it was the first time I heard the word ska, and
That was the first time, really? And you were listening to stuff on Spotify?
Yeah, it was the first time it hit me.
Wow.
It wasn't long after Spotify that this happened, so it was just the first time I was introduced to it.
So this was like 2010?
Yeah.
Wow,
so
that's crazy. It was very new to you then when I met you in 2012.
Like I said earlier, I'd seen like the Take On Me for the video.
Yeah. Yeah, the video's great.
I saw it on a TV in a Hard Rock Cafe.
Really?
Yeah,
They
I
aired
saw
that
it.
there?
I didn't know what it was, but it stuck with me.
It stuck with you. Yeah, as it should. That's a great video. That's from Basketball. I want to hit on that later when we talk about the album.
There was that, and then other random like inklings of things like the Boss Tones and Madness here and there. And it wasn't until this one where I was finally able to categorize everything and all slotted into place, and ska became like the big thing for me.
Wow. I like that origin story.
So it's like, yeah, it was just like little bits of things I liked, and then I finally, through Spotify, got the knowledge I needed to combine it all.
There you
bring
go,
it together.
man. Spotify bringing people together, making you discover new things. Like, shout outs to Spotify. Shout outs to the spoofy.
I find a lot of good ska music through Spotify still.
Yes, I agree. Great place to do it.
Brought to you by Spotify.
While we're talking about Save Ferris, I noticed you mentioned female vocalists, and the lead singer of Save Ferris is a female vocalist.
She's one of the best ones out there, really.
She's very talented, and I want you to tell me all about her because I don't know all that much about her.
So Monique Powell is her name?
Monique Powell.
Monique Powell.
Yeah.
She created this band with some of her buddies and formed in '95.
She was the first singer then.
She was the first and only singer. She's the only member to exist throughout the entirety of the band.
Oh, okay. So same thing as Ruby Fish then.
Mm-hmm.
With Aaron.
Yep. So she was the only one, and we can get into reasons why she was the only one to kind of stick through it out. Because there's kind of two major phases in the band.
Yeah.
So for the whole first thing, they formed near Orange County. They were huge in the underground when they started forming. So they were just one of the up and coming plucky ska bands in the Orange County, like so many others.
Yes, like so many others. This was so big at the time.
And they peaked up and got more airplay because of a radio station called KROQ.
Yeah, KROQ.
A big legendary radio station apparently over in California.
Legendary, huge radio station. We cannot undersell it. We cannot understate how important that radio station is for making all this possible.
Definitely for ska especially.
Yes.
And this dude named Rodney on the Rock, who had heard of the band and was
Rodney
a big fan
on the Rock.
He was the big fan and gave them lots of airtime. And they were the only kind of like self-labeled band that was doing the kind of airtime that anyone else was doing.
That's great, man. That's exactly what happened to Weird Al in the Dr. Demento show. He would air his stuff non-stop on the radio, and that's exactly how Al made his first album. And then got his second album, and then he's still an amazing musician.
And then when the album It Means Everything landed 2 years after the band formed, it was an amazing mainstream success.
First album though, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they had an EP before this, but then this It Means Everything was their first album.
Yeah, the first full album, it's still their main album, like the biggest hit. mostly because of Come On Eileen, which was like the biggest single that they had on it.
Come on, Eileen, oh, I swear what I mean.
Yep. And the album did go platinum internationally.
This album went platinum?
It went platinum internationally because of a lot of they were topping the charts in other countries like Japan at the time.
Oh
in
my
Mexico.
god, I did not know that. That's crazy.
So they hit like hard with that one.
They struck gold.
And Powell said that in a 98 interview, she mentioned that she was drawn to the genre herself after hearing a crowd of teenagers all hollering at a ska band. So they were all, she was like just so brought in by the energy of the audience. And if you've ever heard of her music or seen her perform, she has more energy than I've seen in most ska people.
That's crazy. I love that.
She's crazy full of energy.
I see a lot of female vocalists don't really have the energy that I'm looking for. It's crazy.
I mean, you got like Babs and her Moneymakers. Like she's got like a
Beebs and her Moneymaker.
Beebs. She's got like a great she's got a great style, and so does the lead singer for No Doubt. But Powell just like is a sledgehammer.
Let's not refer to her by name just yet.
So she's like a huge sledgehammer, and she just 1,000 volts into any performance that she does.
A sledgehammer full of electricity.
Exactly.
Alright, gotcha. I get it now.
But in 2003, the band lost its main songwriter as well as several members.
She wasn't the main songwriter?
No, she was not.
Oh.
She didn't even get songwriting credits at the time.
Ooh, that's a little more interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it was only later, much later, that she ended up getting like retroactive credits on the songs.
Ah, okay. So on like many printings down the line.
Oh yeah, so there's this whole big legal kerfuffle and all that, but basically, to cut it short, the band was basically non-existent for 15 years.
Long time. I remember a long time where there was just no Save Ferris and people knew they were just not coming back.
But eventually, like, she was very determined, and she came back sort of with a crowdfunding thing, and she's back and playing shows now. So Save Ferris lives on and has a new album that came out in 2017.
I heard about that. What's it called? Checkered Past, right?
That Checkered Past was the full thing. And
Yes.
They started with an EP called, I think it was called New Sound. So they had a new EP called New Sound, which had like a lot of really big names behind it, helping her kind of get back into it.
Oh, okay.
And for fun trivia,
Fun trivia, okay.
obvious, Save Ferris is kind of a play on Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's a reference.
Oh, the movie. The John Hughes movie.
Oh, yeah. And for Real Big Fish,
Which we're going to be talking about today.
she's the vocalist, and she had a girlfriend now.
Oh, they got
the-
Monique to do it?
Yep, Monique Powell is the girl who sings the female vocalist in the song.
Very... that song requires a feminine touch, as you know.
A very specific touch.
So, you would say that Save Ferris and that album was what really got you into it.
It was definitely what got me into it to begin with.
Your gateway drug. That's a good way of putting it.
It was a brilliant start as well, I think.
Mm-hmm. But I think the reason they were so popular in the late 90s was because I think the punk scene was so popular in the late 90s. I think that's what did it, and I think it played really well on the radio. People really wanted to hear that stuff, and especially upbeat stuff in California. It was a very sunny time in California, but I wanted to get into my point, which coming off of that is that kind of thing is just not in the mainstream anymore, unfortunately.
It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, it's super unfortunate. I really wish we could have gone a couple more years. Ska was still around in the early 2000s, but it was really struggling, and I think that has a lot to do with post 9/11 America and the limitations on radio broadcasts. Which, do you know about all that?
I didn't know there was any kind of limitation right now.
Yeah, there was a lot of limitations going around about what you couldn't play on the radio anymore. Anything that like reminded people of that event at the time could not play anymore. A lot of punk bands specifically would just not get play on the radio anymore.
That's bizarre. Why? Because they remind them of the specific time and place?
Yeah, anything like violent. It would not sell. It was not flying anymore. The radio company specifically did not want to sell it or did not want to buy it to have it put out anymore because they knew it wasn't going to get airplay. It was very specific. I looked this up a while ago and I was very intrigued about it. And it's very confusing. It is. It doesn't make sense now. But at the time, you gotta think it really affected all of America, all at once.
For a while. It's really strange, because at the time it seemed like certain genres were kind of becoming more violent at the time, almost.
Well, yeah, there was certainly an era of rebellion that was still hanging around, but it didn't get airplay, is the thing. So, here it is, the 2001 Clear Channel Memorandum. So, this is the same company that became iHeartMedia, and following the September 11th attacks, anything that had stuff that they felt were lyrically questionable would, like, not get airplay at all. And there was a lot of stuff. There's AC/DC, there's a lot of weird stuff in here. There's some Beatles songs, Black Sabbath, there's Alien Ant Farm's Smooth Criminal cover.
There's one special song they definitely would not want to play.
What?
I think there's one special song that is like a weird drug trip during like a plane crash.
Yeah. A lot of that stuff would just not fly. Get it?
Yeah.
Fly?
I never liked iHeartMedia.
And it was some bullshit, but it clearly affected radio stations at the time. And I think that has a lot to do with why we saw ska start petering off. It just didn't see airplay anymore.
Jeez, this is bad.
Yeah, it's awful. So this was 2001 era. And then the reason I picked this album I want to talk about today, which is Real Big Fish's Cheer Up, was because I think that that's when the band was really struggling. And I think we got some good music out of it. I think it's really cool to talk about the aftermath of a band losing its fame and it becoming kind of a one-hit wonder, and where did they go from there, you know?
Yeah, to quote the live album, they make a lot of material out of a lot of pain.
They make a lot of catchy songs out of their pain, and we thank them for it.
Well, it's like I said, with the modders, like doing the best you can in trying circumstances.
In difficult circumstances. You're right. That's what I came to talk here today with you about, and that's why I picked the first album, because I have a clear idea of what I want to talk about, and I want to bring it to you and see how it hits you, because I know both of us are big Real Big Fish fans.
That's definitely true. Real Big Fish, right after Say Ferris, was like what I jumped into hard, and it might have been because of the fact that she did the vocals on that one song. So that's probably
the connection you got, huh?
Spotify probably just popped me right over to Real Big Fish after that.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool. So let's talk about Real Big Fish as a band first, before we even get into the album. So Real Big Fish is a ska punk band, primarily from Orange County, which a lot of bands were from in California. In the mid-90s, a lot of the bands came from there. You could hear it all throughout the streets. You could hear it. There were a lot of shows, a lot of live shows, and the live scene is really where ska gets all of its energy, and a lot of ska punk bands still have, like mosh pits. It's very energetic and very dancey.
When was the last time you were in a mosh pit?
When was the last time? 3 years ago.
3 years? About the same time I was in one as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you go? Do you remember?
I was at a Real Big Fish concert.
It was at
for some reason in Charleston, at the place that they were having the concert at, they had the sound pit. Like, all the sound equipment was in the middle of the room. So all the people watching the concert were surrounding this thing, and the pit formed directly in front of them.
Oh no!
So it was me and like a line of giant dudes, like chained up to like keep the pit from destroying all the sound equipment.
That's so great. You're all right next to the sound equipment, forming a pit.
I was directly in front of like the main dude operating all the sound equipment up there, like the main guy, and just like trying to keep all these people from like running into them.
That's a good story, man. I'm glad for that. No, I was in one, because Real Big Fish were playing live with Less Than Jake. And I wasn't in the pit for the Real Big Fish show, but I got in the pit for the Less Than Jake show. And boy, let me tell you, it was fun, and it was crazy, because a lot of their songs are way higher energy than Real Big Fish stuff.
They can get real rowdy.
The closest I can think of in Real Big Fish is, Nothing. Every time I try so hard to get nothing. That song is a mosh pit anthem. That song is made for moshing.
The song was made for moshing.
imagine that one song, but there's like 7 of them. And that's a lot of Less Than Jake songs, especially the old stuff, because I was there when they were playing the old stuff.
I like Less Than Jake, but I'm actually a big fan of their more reeled back song that they've got.
Oh, really? You like their more, whatchamacallit? I showed you, The Science of Selling Yourself Short, right?
Yeah, that one is one I really love.
That's a great one. Oh my god, I got that one stuck in my head all day. And that was from the mid-2000s. That was again when they were suffering from the fallout. But they turned it around and wrote some of their best material on that album, on Anthem.
I love Anthem. Anthem is the one I'd pick.
Amazing fucking album. I really want to talk about that with you someday, because there's a little bit of everything on it. They wrote some of their best material ever on that album. And I think I saw an interview a couple weeks ago of them still talking about it and say, why do fans love Anthem so much? And they said, because we were at this time where we had to write our best material, like, or else. We were in a pressure situation, and so we just wrote whatever we had left in us, what we had in our heart and our soul. And it came through, man. It came through hardcore. I love Less Than Jake. I can't wait till we talk about him some more. But we're talking about Real Big Fish right now.
Yeah, you're gonna be pulling in like all the fan favorite like stuff, and I'm just gonna be pulling out some weird shit that I find.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, I'm gonna get into a lot of weird shit too, because I know there's a lot of stuff you haven't heard either.
Oh, definitely.
And a lot of stuff that I've recently gotten into that I want to share with you and get your opinions on, because it's such a diverse genre, ska, man. I love it. There's so much we can talk about. This is such a great idea for a podcast.
And most people don't know that the genre even exists.
Yeah, exactly. So we're educating them and entertaining ourselves. It's a win-win.
Give me my jacket back.
Sorry. You're the educator. I'm the entertainer.
That's right.
That's how it works. I don't know nothing.
I still got some of this cookie. Keep going.
All right. Yes, I want to keep going. We're not quite done describing Real Big Fish and why people like them so much. I know I like them because they're very funny. They're very funny, man.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is more shtick than you can shake a stick at.
Hey kids, it's time to use the F word.
Fuck yeah, fuck you.
Don't yell at me. You know who I used to be 10 years ago?
They have a lot of silly songs. Not so much as so as the Aquabats, because I don't think the Aquabats have wrote quite as many depressing, bitter songs as Real Big Fish has.
There are very few serious songs in Aquabats.
Very few.
That's why we love them.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I can't wait to get into the Aquabats, but they're known for their energetic live performances. Like, Real Big Fish is a band you have to see live. The studio albums, they channel as much energy as they can, but it's still, like, very calculated. And there's a lot of stuff that doesn't come through. They improv a lot of stuff on stage live. That's why you see a lot of, like, random covers of songs in between other songs. I know, if you ever saw them live, I think if you saw them live around the same time I did, 2014, they were playing, The Offspring's Self-Esteem in between sets.
That's bizarre.
It's pretty great, yeah.
You know why they might play so many cover songs in between other songs?
Why?
They forget their own lyrics half the time.
They do. Aaron is often drunk. He is known for being a drunk.
That is true. There's lots of drinking at their shows.
There's a lot of drinking. Drinking is heavily encouraged in Real Big Fish. So if you want to have a good time, you want to get drunk, go to a Real Big Fish show. They encourage it highly.
After that same concert I was talking about where I was protecting the pit, I had a nice talk with Johnny Christmas afterwards.
Oh, really? You got to talk to Johnny Christmas? John Christensen.
Yeah.
That's his name.
I had brought some of the artwork I made for them forever ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I brought them all a copy to have.
Wow.
Because they've been doing this for 20 years and, they didn't want to hang around for the show. As soon as the show was done, they ran off to their bus.
Right.
But I was able to flag down Johnny C before he ran off. So I got him down and I gave him all the prints, and he ran off with a copy for me, which he got signed by the entire band.
Really? They signed a copy for you? Oh, I remember this. I remember you telling me the story.
I've got 2 artworks, one for Suburban Legends and the Real Big Fish, and they're both entirely signed by the band.
Yeah, you made the copies and you brought them to the bands, and they signed it.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah, so I talked with Johnny C because he's a trumpet player and I love him. And he's a cool looking dude too.
Yeah, what are the other members that's still in the band today?
Yeah, and he was very drunk, I think.
Very drunk. Like, what was his art? It
it was showing on him. So it was a very fun conversation. I doubt he remembers it for multiple reasons.
The booze being one of them.
Yeah, so I wonder if them being drunk all the time when they sign shit, if it makes it difficult to like get signatures authenticated.
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I've only ever had one thing signed by a band, and that was I got my Aquabat Super Show DVD signed by the guys when I went to see them at TLA.
I would love to do the Aquabats.
Yeah. Oh, dude, they always hang around and sign stuff. Always. They're so nice.
Oh, God. I know. They seem like lovely dudes.
Yeah, they're lovely. And thanks to, my recent research into them, and now that I know that both Christian Jacobs and our boy Crash McLarson, Chad Larson, came from the same Mormon church.
That was a roller coaster.
That was a roller coaster. Yeah.
We'll have to summarize that in the future.
Oh, man, we'll have to get down into that. They're very nice guys, most likely because of their Mormon upbringing. And they made a ska band.
I'm sure the Real Big Fish would be nicer if they just weren't so, busy all the time. But the Suburban Legends were fucking rad, though, man. Like, I partied with those guys all night.
Were they really nice? You got to hang with them for a while?
Yeah, I hung out with them before when they were selling their merch at their own table. And, I contacted one of them before I went to the show to let them know that I was doing the artwork and all that. And I got to have a conversation with one of the guys, through Facebook and all that.
Oh, cool.
And then when I got there, I hung out with them at their booth before the show started. And then after the show was ended, they hung out with all the fans afterwards and just drank with us and talked all the time.
That's so awesome. And how long ago was this? Was this 2014?
This would have been 2016, January.
2016. So yeah, wow, later than I thought.
Yeah, it was a great time. Like, Clem was a cool dude. Like, we talked about comics and shit. And, like, we got into deep about, like, how his favorite character is Booster Gold, so I drew him as Booster Gold.
His favorite character is Booster Gold.
He seems like it would be Booster Gold fan.
It makes perfect sense when you think about it.
So it was a brilliant time for all those guys.
That's excellent, man. I'm so
Lots
glad
of
to hear
drinking.
about that.
Everybody was drinking.
Lots of drinking. Yeah, there's 2 songs about... No, there's more than 2. There's at least like 5 Real Big Fish songs about drinking.
One of my favorite Real Big Fish songs is about drinking.
Is it drinking, the actual song?
Yeah.
Oh man, I was gonna say beer, because beer is one Aaron considers like another one of their big hits that keeps them going for a long time.
No, everyone loves beer, but drinking's the one I love to sing the most.
They all go out drinking.
It's so good. It's only difficult because I always hear the version with Scotty in it, and it's like,
yep, mm-hmm.
I have to find the middle ground.
That's what I just did. I just did Scotty's version.
It's so great. I love it.
It's so burned into my memory. Well, we'll talk about Scott Klopfenstein after we get through a couple more things about the band. I wrote down some fun facts here, which I know we brought up earlier. Aaron Barrett is the sole remaining member of the band. He's the only one still there after all these years. He's the lead singer, main songwriter, and he was not even originally the lead singer. When I first listened to the first album a couple years back, I want to say 2013 or something, I got really curious about some old heads, some old fans talking about Real Big Fish and their demos, and I found out that Ben Guzman was the original lead singer. Aaron took over after he left and has been the lead singer since. Aaron was originally on backup vocals.
I never heard of Ben, so
yeah, no,
that's all new to me.
He was not in the band for very long. Just for the demo recording process and part of the first album. But after that, they had Turn the Radio Off, which was their huge, big, mega album. It was on the billboards for 32 weeks. That's almost a full year. And their song Sellout, which is their big #1 hit, it broke the top 10 and made them, like, famous for a good, 2 years. That was like, the peak of their popularity.
It is one of my favorite albums.
It's an amazing album. It's, honestly, if you come down this third wave ska and people start recommending Real Big Fish to you, Turn the Radio Off is the one where they'll probably say, listen to this one. This is exactly very indicative of that time, of 97, 98, and how third wave ska punk was, like, almost everywhere. So much so that the South Park guys, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, made a movie called Basketball. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I have not.
It's a little silly. Where these two guys come up with an idea of a combination of basketball and baseball, and it becomes like a nationwide sport, and it gets very popular, and they make a lot of money, and it's a very silly, stupid movie. But Real Big Fish cameo in it.
You know what? When I was delivering pizzas for a time,
yeah,
there was I was delivering to a dude not too far from me, and he heard that I was listening to the Real Big Fish in my car.
Oh, you have had it blasting in your car?
Yeah, he ran into another room and came out with a basketball jersey he had made
What?
that said beers on the back. And he was like, I wear this to go see the Real Big Fish in concert all the time.
Holy shit, you found another fan while delivering food.
I got good tips from that dude.
Oh my god.
He was my buddy. He was my buddy right over there.
That's awesome, dude.
I know, it was super cool.
That's so cool. I wish somebody would hear me blasting my car and ask me what I'm listening to.
I've had to explain ska to a few people.
I did. No, I do it at work. Yeah, when I was talking about going on that podcast and talking about alphabets. And I had to explain what ska was. And it's difficult, but I do bring up Real Big Fish usually. I bring up Real Big Fish, I bring up No Doubt, and I like Say Ferris, and I do know that album, but I don't bring up them as like the number one like big names that people might know.
Yeah, I always pull out the specials, the Boss Tones, and Real Big Fish.
I do pull out Boss Tones. I do pull out Mighty Mighty Boss Tones because impression that I get is the one that people might know.
I try to pull at least one band from each era, hoping that somebody would know them.
God, I wish more people knew about the specials. That's one of the ones that really the people who are in the culture know more than anybody else.
God, I love the specials.
God, I can't wait to talk about the specials. I think we should talk about one right after this because it's so different.
It's brilliant. I just love listening to Ghost Town when I walk around.
So. It's so great. Alright. So, we've talked about the Real Big Fish. We've named some fun facts. We've named a bunch of bands. We talked about what is ska, all that stuff. I want to talk about the Real Big Fish's album in 2002, which is, why don't you talk about Turn the Radio Off? Why don't you talk about, like, a ska classic? Oh, why don't you talk about 1997? Oh, the Summer of Ska. No, I want to talk about Cheer Up!
While we talk about Real Big Fish, you should talk about Sublime.
We should talk about Sublime, yes. We will talk about Sublime down the line. I know that. But
why aren't you playing my favorite band? Mine specifically.
Minecraft. Talk about Minecraft. Make ska songs in Minecraft. Play Fortnite.
Kyle.
Yeah.
You're killing me, Kyle.
It's going in the podcast. Your laughter is all being recorded on the podcast.
I don't even know what my laughter sounds like.
You're gonna find out! I'm gonna amp it up. I'm gonna turn up the volume with your phone.
This is a Minecraft podcast now.
No! So when I was talking about Cheer Up to you, and I mentioned it earlier today, I knew a couple albums that also came out in 2002, but I decided to Google it just to be sure. I Googled ska albums 2002, and Cheer Up is the very first result, which I think tells you something about the state of ska in 2002. It had been a while since it was popular.
Like, Real Big Fish was hurting a little bit this time, but they were still, like, the big boys in campus.
They were still the big band that people know about when they were talking about ska. But other albums that came out at the time, which I know we talked about a little bit earlier, Jackknife to a Swan by the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
This was my college anthem.
I hadn't even heard this album until, like, 2 years ago, when I decided to go through Boss Tones' entire discography while I was at work.
Oh, God, I love Jackknife.
Yeah, I prefer Let's Face It because I'm still, like, I think that era of Boss Tones is my favorite, the late 80s, early 90s. Jackknife to a Swan's a good album.
I love Let's Face It as a single, for sure. But there are certain songs in Jackknife, like Everybody's Better is like, Everybody's Better and Chasing the Sun Away were like songs that like got me through college.
What's your favorite on the album? I'll play a little bit of it.
Shit.
Just for you.
It's hard to say because they're all so good for so many different reasons, but...
That's true. I know it can be hard to attach yourself to one.
I mean, I like the chilled out kind of groove, so I'd probably give it to Everybody's Better.
Everybody's Better, yep.
That's the one I can kind of just sing to myself as I'm going around. But it's such a good album. It's got like a pacing to it where it like ramps up so powerful by like go big.
Yeah, it has a build. It has a really good build to it. A learning curve, as some would say.
A learning curve. It's very approachable. It's a very good album.
Yeah, it's a more approachable album than their other stuff. I mean, you know what got me into Boss Tones?
What was it?
Which is a fun trivia. I was into Twisted Metal when I was a kid,
Oh, I fucking love Twisted Metal.
Yeah, Twisted Metal is fucking amazing. I have all the games in the series, but there was a game that was like Twisted Metal that was made by the original developers. Do you know what I'm going to talk?
Was it Diesel 8? Is it Diesel 8? What was it called?
No. You want me to tell you?
What was it?
It was called Rogue Trip.
Rogue Trip.
Rogue Trip. Yeah, it was about like tourist cars having to do car combat across the globe, and it was like post-apocalyptic future. And if you won unlimited supply of gas, and you could go wherever you wanted forever. But you had to beat other people. It was a very silly game. But on the first stage of the game, it was not original music. You know what played?
What was it?
On the first stage of the game? The Rascal King. By Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
The Rascal King is so good.
Rascal King is an amazing song, and it plays on the first stage of that video game, that PlayStation 1 video game.
Not even talking about just like ska music in video games, but talking about like actually ska songs in video games.
Yeah, actual licensed ska songs.
Real Big Fish, they've got some songs in beach volleyball for Dead or Alive.
Yeah, they do.
Beach volleyball, they've got songs in there.
They do, they've got a couple licensed songs, yeah. We can talk about the Boss Tones down the line. We've got to talk about them later. But what else came out in 2002 was a Goldfinger album, Open Your Eyes, which does not have Superman on it.
So it's shitty. No one cares about it.
No. Goldfinger was still very good at the time, and if we're ever going to talk about Goldfinger, we're going to talk about Matt Appleton, because he joined Real Big Fish on Candy Coated Fury, the album you like.
Yeah?
Yeah, he took Scott's place. After Scott left in 2011, Matt Appleton became both the backup vocalist and the saxophone player, and he's excellent. He does a great job.
Hey, he does a very good job. I was curious if almost maybe they had Scott back for a couple of times.
No, believe it or not, they have not. Scott, fun fact about Scott, I followed him on Twitter. He writes music for a Broadway play now.
Which play?
It's called Locked Up Bitches. That's
Okay.
what it's called. I can show you a picture right here.
I'm sure I'll
featuring
find it.
original music by Scott Kloffenstein. Right here. Bada boom. Picture right there. Scott Allen Kloffenstein. Great artist. I mean, we gotta talk about Scott and his influence on the band.
There's a character in this thing called Crazy Tongue. And another one called All Licks.
Alright, this is a great tangent. I'm glad we're talking about this.
There's another character called Yummy.
And another album that came out in 2002 was Yellow No. 5 by Mustard Plug. I don't know. Did you hear Mustard Plug on Spotify? Because that's why
I heard a lot of Mustard Plug.
Yeah.
Let me see if
they
Yellow
played
No. 5
a lot of Mustard Plug on Spotify. I don't think it was Yellow No. 5, but they had a lot of songs in the late 90s, and all of these bands you'll see, Real Big Fish, Mighty Boss Tones, Goldfinger, and Mustard Plug, were all bands that were really big in the 90s, like meteoric rises. They were huge, got a lot of good airplay, but they were struggling to keep listeners coming back in the early 2000s, and that's where we're going to talk about here. In 2002, these bands were struggling to write material, and the labels just hated them because they would not put out like big hits anymore. There were not many good ska big hits in the early 2000s. It just wasn't happening.
It's a little hard to tell what makes like a big hit ska song, you know?
Yeah, it's hard. It can be all over the place. There's a lot of the two-tone stuff in the late 80s, early 90s, and then we got the ska punk third wave stuff, which was very, bright and poppy. Which I get it. You could certainly get away with that kind of stuff in early 2000s, and there was some of that stuff still around, but it just didn't chart anymore, I looked up the charting for this album, Cheer Up, and it is their third worst charting. It charted for all of 3 weeks at like number 117 or something, not in the top 100 at all. And it was only on there for 3 weeks and then never again. So it didn't do too great, not gonna lie. And this album also failed to produce a hit in America. But fun fact, it did produce a small hit. It did break the top 10 in the UK, which I bring up later down. The Real Big Fish only charted 3 times. They charted in America with Sellout, and then they charted in the UK with the cover of Monkey Man by Toots and the Maytals. Do you remember that?
Here, Monkey Boy!
I love that song.
That's a great cover. Monkey Man's a great cover. And there's a great video of that, too, with Dan Regan.
That's from the album that you don't like at all that I discovered.
No, it was older than that. It's older than that.
Their
they
version
just
of it?
re-recorded it. Yeah, Monkey Man. Their version of Monkey Man is much older.
Oh, yeah?
I have to show you. Have you seen the video?
Oh, I saw the video.
Yeah, the video's old.
That's a good video, though.
But it's a great video, yeah. And they charted with Monkey Man in the UK, and they also charted with Where Have You Been from this album.
I'll get into my opinions of that song later.
Yeah, we'll get into it. It's not even a ska song, really. It's very much like an alternative rock song, which is so weird to hear from this band. But this album is all about experimentation and how the band was kind of sort of running out of ideas.
The album does scream that they were trying to appeal to the more of the mainstream.
Yes, it does. It does scream that. But fun fact, when I was talking about the label not getting off their backs and telling them, you gotta make a hit song right now, otherwise we're gonna drop you. Real Big Fish has a huge history with hating their labels. And that's why they chose to go independent in the late 2000s. Because there was just this shitty, slimy businessman in the early 2000s. And it was very common everywhere. A lot of bands just hated their labels.
I mean, their number one hit is about, not trusting the label.
Yeah, it's about not trusting, selling out. And how they kind of had to do it. But there's a song on this album, which I love on the live album, Valerie. And it's not, believe it, it's not about a girl. It's actually about their album's producer and how much they hated him. Him being a man named Val Gary, or Gary. So Val Gary, Valerie. You can kind of hear it when you say them right next to each other. They wrote a song disguised as hating a girl when it was hating their producer.
The producer, he probably never even... I bet he never even really listened to the song.
He probably never even heard it, yeah. He just let it just slide right through because he was like, this isn't gonna sell. Who cares? But it's true. It's very true. So we talked about We're Not Happy If You're Not Happy earlier. I think before we actually got onto the podcast. But there's a lot of experimentation with musical styles on here. And there's a lot more, sort of punk and reggae jams on We're Not Happy If You're Not Happy. Which I actually like. And the We're Not Happy lineup is actually my favorite lineup of the band. I have very fond memories of that lineup because that's the same lineup they traveled with the Our Live album era.
I love a lot of the songs off of the We're Not Happy album.
Yeah, I do love a lot of the songs on that. Awesome is great.
I'm actually...
The Fire's on that.
Not a big fan of Awesome, but Fire is great, The Bad Guy is great.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Drinkin's number 2 on that album.
Don't Start a Band is on that album too.
Don't Start a Band's a fun song as well.
It's a really fun song, yeah. What else is on that one? I mean, we've covered all the hits pretty much on that album. It's not all that great.
I mean, I think the only more notable thing to say about We're Not Happy, that album, is the One Hit Wonderful song they did, which just lays it out.
Yeah.
Just lays out their feelings.
We were one hit wonderful. That's what it was about. They don't love you, they just love that one song. Ouch, man. Just ouch. Funnily enough, there's no writers credited on that song.
I think that's probably by design.
It's probably a good idea, right? But yeah, that's my favorite version of the band. Aaron, Scott, Matt Wong, Dan Regan, John Christensen, and then they got Rabbit in 2006 to do drums. Ryland Steen, who also recently left the band.
Yeah, I don't know who... someone was pulling double shift between the Suburban Legends and Real Big Fish, because I got a double signature on there.
Really? You got a same signature?
I think the drummer who was playing for the Legends was also playing for Real Big Fish.
Okay, that's a good connection. I didn't know that, actually. So, we talked about a little bit of the feelings going into this album, what it's all about, but we haven't talked about some of the tracks. And I know there are some things that I want to get into right away. A couple bullet points I put on here. The very first song, Good Thing.
You and I are mortal, but rock and roll will never die.
Which is a very cheerful song.
And to clarify, we're going back to Cheer Up. We're not talking about the other album anymore.
Yeah, we're not talking about We're Not Happy. We're talking about Cheer Up. This is the album we're going to talk about today. And we're not going to spend too much time on the album. We're not doing a track-by-track review. We're just going to go over our feelings on the album. I just wanted to talk about it because that's a very fascinating time for a band I really like. And it makes for a good podcast episode, I think. Mm-hmm. So the very first song, Good Thing, I like hearing that live a lot. It's very happy. It's oddly happy sounding. which is very interesting to be the first track on this album that's very frustrated, from a very frustrated band that's not very popular, that hasn't had many hits in the early 2000s, and is even making this album because their label pretty much forced them to. So, I don't know. When's the last time you heard Good Thing?
The last time?
Yeah.
I don't go seeking out Good Thing to listen to very much.
Right.
The last time I can remember listening to it was in high school.
So it's been a while for you then.
I was listening to the Cheer Up album a lot when I was driving back and forth to high school my senior year.
Okay, that's fair. So you were listening to it about the same time I was then. Like, I was getting out of high school into college when I was listening to Cheer Up.
My feelings on this album are that's kind of the age that... high school age was about what they were shooting for with this album, I think.
Okay, that's fair. There's a lot of angst. There's a lot of angst on this album.
I'm not crazy for angst, which is why I've got very mixed feelings on this album.
Right. God, I can't wait till we get to the later songs on here. Well, not even the later songs. The midway point is where it gets really angsty.
But there is some good shit on here that I really love, too.
No, yeah, just looking at the track list, we can see some songs that are still played live, like Good Thing, like Ban the Tube Top.
Ban the Tube Top, and still the love for Tube Tops in me. Not even a joke. Like, I adore
He wants to ban it because it's too good. It's
I know.
too good for this world.
It is too good. But no one wears them.
That's true. And A Little Doubt Goes a Long Way is still played live.
I almost performed that one live somewhere.
Did you really?
I almost did.
That's a really fun song.
I didn't quite get there.
Great horn line, fun chorus. I gotta go, before I do something stupid.
Is this like it sets a scene?
Yeah, it does. It does. And there's a lot of, relationship stuff on this album, too. Which is clearly, gee, I wonder what happened to Aaron. I wonder who hurt you, Aaron, in the late 90s and the early 2000s. The lead singer of No Doubt.
Well, really?
Yeah, you know about that, right?
I didn't know about any of that.
Yeah, She's Famous Now is about Gwen Stefani and how Aaron was in a relationship with her.
He says that in the live album. I thought that was a joke.
It's true. That's actually true. They were actually a couple.
Is that why A Little Doubt goes a long way?
Yes, that is why.
Is that the joke?
That's the joke. A little doubt. No doubt. Yeah, you're piecing stuff together, eh?
I did it. This is why I'm a professor.
You see the two lines on the board and you just draw a line of chalk between them.
And the reason why I keep bringing it up is because you're not able to remove any of that now, because it's a running joke.
You're right, I can't now. I'm locked in.
I've locked in your answer.
50-50, Regis.
Yeah. Now the song, Where Have You Been? I hate this song.
You hate this song? Really?
I despise this.
Do you skip it on the album?
I just don't listen to the album. I just take the bits out that I like.
Oh, wow. So you're one of those? I do that with some albums. I do that with some where I just I can't stand this song, so I just take it off it, and the album is better now that I don't have to hear it anymore.
Like I said, I don't like angst, and Where Have You Been is just dripping with it.
He's so bitter. Have you recently... I went back and watched the music video for it, and it's so old.
I hate the song so much I've never seen the video for it.
Oh, God, the video... Aaron's, complaining about this woman. There's, a dark gray filter on him. He's, sitting at a coffee shop looking at the camera.
Oh, God. Does it look like an Evanescence video?
Yeah, it does! It does. And there's a lot of, cuts between him and the band, playing really fast, loud music, angsty. And the girl in question that he's, telling off is a mannequin. And they have a couple mannequins as stand-ins for, her and the guy she chose over him.
This is the direction I want them to not go in.
It was not a successful choice, but apparently, you have to admit, it did chart in the UK. It made it in the top 100. That's one of their 3 songs that ever charted. Where Have You Been? Charted in the UK.
So sad.
It starts mellow, and it becomes a weird alternative rock song. It's very fast, but not really.
I don't mind the middle bit. The middle bit's okay.
The middle bit's okay, yeah.
Everything around it sucks. It's bookended by a pile of shit.
It's so odd and out of place in all the rest of their songs. Which, I mean, let's be real. I mean, at least it's sandwiched between, like, good songs. Like, Ban the Tube Top and Suckers is okay. Suckers comes after Where Have You Been?
I like Suckers.
Suckers has a playful banter between him and Scott, and you'd see a lot of that on this album. Him and Scott really become good friends in this
There's
album.
a lot of banter in the live album as well, which I love.
On the live album, the banter is really one of the reasons I looked at this band and I really got into them, because they're so funny. They could be improv comics if they wanted to.
Let's see here. Dateless Users is a good time, honestly.
Yeah, that also plays on the live album, Dateless Losers. I don't think I've ever seen them play it live in the 3 times I've seen them, but fun song.
I think it's weird that they'd sing about, like, being in high school and all that when they're, like, I don't know,
Yeah.
35 at this time?
Yeah, 2002, he would have been... No, he was 19. He was 19, yeah, he's 43 now.
Yeah.
He was 19, so he would be, what, 26, 25. Still, way too old to be singing about high school crushes and not getting asked, like, on a date on Friday.
It's still a fun song. I mean, we listen to the Aquabats, so it's like
Let's not judge!
he wrote a song about a red sweater and a crush in like the 1st grade.
Oh my gosh.
There's not much room for us to like come down on Aaron for that.
That's true. What else?
Rock and roll is bitchin'.
Rock and roll is bitchin'. That's so interesting that it's on there.
How do you feel about it?
I like it actually, but
I hate
it's
it.
so. It's. Thank you for your input. I was gonna point out that it belongs on Why Did They Rock So Hard, their second album. Or no, not second, third album.
Yeah, Why Did They Rock So Hard and this one are very similar to me in that there's like lots of really good songs in there that I like, but there's like some stinkers in there too that I'm not cool. I'm not a big fan.
Yeah, I like The Kids Don't Like It and Somebody Hates Me and
those are all amazing. I love those 2 songs.
Brand new song and She's Famous Now. Yeah, those songs were in '98.
I mean, Victory Over Peter Bones is one of my favorite instrumentals by them.
Yeah, Victory Over Peter Bones. Oh my goodness.
I love
Great.
Down in Flames too.
There's a lot of good songs off Why Do They Rock So Hard, but it's like...
I was never crazy for what the album cover looked like.
Yeah, no, the album cover is ugly.
It looks like they made it in like Word using just clip art.
It looks like a clip art album, it does. But some songs on Cheer Up sound like they belong on Why Do They Rock So Hard.
Yeah, they sound very similar.
They probably were written a while ago.
See, the cover of New York, New York is a good time.
I thought that was really interesting too, because that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, because New York, New York comes right after.
And it's all a
And
cappella.
it's so different. It's acapella. It's a Frank Sinatra cover.
It's brilliant. I love that cover.
And yeah, it really shows off everybody's singing voices. You can hear Scott doing the ba 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 da da. You can hear his light voice.
I'll be singing that one to myself as I move on to the Upper West Side of Manhattan soon.
I'm gonna wake up in a city.
Sayonara Senorita is pretty good. It's just a nice, quick instrumental.
Yes, I don't want to go quite track by track. I want to hit on some of the points we've hit on so far.
I'm just looking at the ones I like.
Yeah, of course. But I wanted to bring up Boss DJ.
I love that one a lot.
Yeah, because it's a Sublime cover that takes it in a new direction, and it adds a lot more energy to the song, a lot more playfulness to a very chill recording. Have you heard the original?
You know what? Actually, I've missed that one from Sublime.
Oh, dude, please listen to it, because it's off an EP that they recorded a while ago, and Bradley is just playing on the guitar in his apartment, and it's very, like, relaxed and very quiet. Very intimate original song.
I would have loved to have heard Real Big Fish do like a cover of Summertime.
Yes! Oh, my summertime and the living's easy.
If they had Scott for that, it would have been amazing.
It would have been, you're right.
Are we going to talk about probably our favorite on the album, maybe?
No, hold on, not quite yet, not quite yet.
quite
I wanted
yet?
to bring up another interesting fact about Boss DJ. I saw this video on YouTube a while ago. I'm not sure if it's still on there, but someone recorded the last show with the bassist that I liked a lot, Matt Wong. And they played Boss DJ to send him out, and they brought out the new bass player who's on Candy Coated Fury and on Monkeys for Nothing, Derek Gibbs. And it was really fun seeing him sent off to that song, and you can clearly see why they would play it, and they put so much energy into it. There's a steel train coming through. I really liked hearing that, and it was a very emotional moment seeing Matt leave, because, again, he wanted to spend time with his family, because he's been playing in Real Big Fish for... Matt was another one of the, like, near-founding members. He was in the band since the original. So he was in the band for at least 12 years.
I created like basically a mixtape of Real Big Fish to listen to in college, and Boss DJ was on there.
It's a great pick, man. It's a great pick. Okay, so yeah.
There was lots of days of me in my Volkswagen Cabriolet with the top
Wow.
down, eating cold McDonald's breakfast food, listening to Boss DJ out in the parking lot of my college.
That's very, very specific, and I'm glad you shared that memory for me. I want to keep that memory. I want to imagine you chowing
This
down
is a cold McGriddle.
on a cold McGriddle in your car, listening to Boss DJ. That's a good vision, man.
Indiana summers, man.
Brand New Hero I heard on, I think I heard it on a Flash cartoon.
You know, actually, I didn't have much love for Brand New Hero, but I was listening today, and I love it when it gets moving. Like when it's actually
Yeah, when it gets grooving, you can really feel it pick up.
It's got like a nice pacing to it.
Yes, it's true. But okay, we're gonna finally get to the big moment. I know you want to talk about a song that really gives our man Scott a chance to shine. Drunk Again.
I love this song. I don't think the song even qualifies as ska.
No, it's not.
Like,
It's not a ska song at all.
It is.
It's a ballad.
It's so good. It's like a croony. You get to hear Scott croon a bit.
Which is so funny because we just heard them do New York, New York earlier in the album.
And Scott doesn't get to sing in it really. He just gets to do acapella.
Yeah, he does
in the
acapella,
background.
but here Scott sings the whole song, and it's so great. You really feel like you're in a bar listening to him croon.
And you know what? This one hit me at a time.
Yeah, I agree. This one hit me right when I started. I wanted to quit my job, and I heard this song, and I did. I did the next day, but it was just so. Oh, it's so gorgeous. I wish I could explain to people. Can you explain why it's so great?
Scott just fills it with like so much emotion.
Yep.
And it's a very relatable in lyrics. Like it's very relatable. It's just about, feeling worthless and presumably due to sort of a bad relationship,
A breakup. Yep.
which was what I was going through when I kind of started listening to the song.
Wow. That's probably when it hits the hardest. Yeah.
I had like my first actual girlfriend when I was like 20, 21 maybe. So like I waited because I was like, I'm gonna do it right the first time. Nope.
Nope.
I had 3 really good months and then like a year's worth of heartache and pain.
Oh God, that's gotta hurt.
And
man.
drunk again was like
Your anthem.
hit me.
Yeah.
It was good. There was lots of late night driving to that song.
Oh, man. It's gorgeous, man. I really enjoy hearing Scott's voice on that song and on the song that got me into Real Big Fish pretty much by accident, Average Man.
I haven't actually heard Average Man.
It's a shame. It's great. It's really, really fun. And it's like, picture the polar opposite of Joke Again, but it's still Scott singing. It's a little campy. There's a lot of piano in it, actually. But it's very bouncy. It's very fun. And anytime I find myself humming it a lot. Well, I just became a member of the club known as the Bubbling Bulls. Wow, now.
I'm sure I'd love it. It sounds like a great song.
It's great. I'll show it off to you after this, but it's another Scott-focused song. I think Aaron's on it. I can't quite tell, but it's not even really a Real Big Fish song. It sounds like a Littlest Man Band song, which is the one Scott played in, one of the guys from Suburban Legends, and another guy from Powers of Evil, which I think we talked about, right?
If it was someone from Suburban Legends, it was probably Clem.
Maybe. Yeah.
He always seems like he's willing to collab with anything, which is why he's on the cover of that cover album, I think.
Fame, Fortune, and Fornication, the one you like and I think is utter garbage.
Yeah, it's because Clem's just like out to it.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, sure. A wig, no shirt. Yeah, all right.
Get him in there, man. So, I think we've talked about the whole album then.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a 2-hour and 10-minute podcast where we spent like 15 minutes on this album.
15 minutes on the album. I mean, it was never really going to be the main topic. I think we had a lot to cover in this first episode, and I think we did. I think we covered a lot of what was important about ska and about us. So I think it's good. I think this is a good start. Is there anything you want to say before we pack it up?
I mean, not really. I mean, like most things, it started off with us kind of getting our bearing.
Yeah.
So even if you cut out like a bunch of my bullshitting,
I don't think I will.
like this,
I don't think
there'll
I
still
will.
be a lot of it. And if anyone could get this far and is still hearing my voice and hasn't given up, like instantly, and they're still tolerating this, then I think this podcast will be for them.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm glad, man. I'm glad you feel that way. I'm glad you feel like you're such a detriment. You've only brought it down.
I'm not a detriment, I'm just an acquired taste. Just like ska.
Just like ska. You're an acquired taste.
Yeah. See, we brought it, it was a plan from the full time, 5-layer thinking.
I also now have 2 hours of your voice, and you can hear it back now.
Yeah, you can put it into a machine and have it split up my words so you can just make me say whatever you want.
I can do that. I can actually do that.
You can make me a Vocaloid.
Austin Robertson Vocaloid. You would buy that?
I mean, I would be the most popular in Japan, obviously. They'd be like, I mean, we had this cute, like, blue-haired chick, but we got, like, this kind of schlubby, like, American dude now, so.
The schlubby guy from, what was it, South Carolina?
I'm from California, lived in Indiana. I grew up in Indiana, and I
That's
lived in
right, Indiana. Yep.
South Carolina for 3 years, and then back to Indiana for a year, and now I'm going to New York.
That's right. Yeah, you've got a good origin story, man. I don't. I was born in Pennsylvania. I moved to Delaware, and I've been here ever since.
I need
entire
an Aquabat style origin story song.
It changes every couple of years.
It's hilarious. Awesome Forces is still one of my favorite songs.
Awesome Forces is amazing, dude. We've been designated to save this crazy world, and we will not die, because this is our history.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, man. It's amazing. We'll talk about the Aquabats another time.
Definitely.
I was going to ask, did you want to pick an album right now that we can talk about next week, or whenever we do this next week?
Shit. I don't know. Are we going to do favorite albums right off the bat, or are we just going to pick some random shit?
I think you should pick something that speaks to you, so that we can both talk about it. I may have heard it, I may have not, but I'd rather just... I want to pick one, and you want to pick one.
If I do pick something, I kind of wanted to go by track on it, but we'll probably deal with that when we get to it.
We can do that. We can do a track by track if you want. I just didn't want to do this one because I feel like it's not worth that. There's some songs here that are not that great, as we've covered.
Let's see here.
But I'm sure there's like a great album that we can go down track by track and listen to the whole thing. And I can give you my reasons why I don't like it.
I don't think you'll have that with this one. I want to do Paradise Has No Border.
Really?
I want to jump right into it.
Oh my god, dude.
I got that on vinyl. It's been one of my favorite albums this last.
Oh my god, we're doing this. We're
forever.
doing this.
This
you got
one
Paradise Has
deserves-
No Border on vinyl?
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. Alright, so for those who don't know, we were talking about Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra earlier, and Paradise Has No Border came out very recently. It's a 2016 album.
2017.
Sorry, 2017, yeah. And it's fucking great. You have the vinyl. You have this on cover.
I've got the vinyl. Yeah.
Oh my god, with the samurai.
Mhm.
Oh, it's so excellent.
I'll send you a picture after the podcast.
Please do.
I only have one negative thing to say about it. One of my favorite songs is not on it. They had on the album. On Spotify, they've got a song called Bridge Over the Sky, which I love because it's kind of goofy and gloopy. Like, it's very synthesized, and in my head...
I like that.
It's in my head, I get, like, this picture of, like, an almost, like, Disney, like, Pixar, like, short of, like, these little airplanes in the sky. It's very characteristic. Like,
And it's on Spotify, but not on the vinyl?
No, they took it off.
It's on iTunes, too.
I love that song. It's super characteristic, if silly, but it's still, like, it's just gone.
I like how you just call it Samurai Dreamers because of the song on it.
Yeah, I messed that.
It's alright. I know what you're talking about now. I looked it up, and I remember... I heard this album last year.
I mean, it's got a big old samurai on the front. That's why I kept getting the thing.
Right, yeah. I can't blame you. But that's going to be such a great episode. Wow, we get to talk about J. Scott this early. Oh my goodness.
It's so good.
I'm so excited. Alright, so save that for next week, dude. Or next time.
I would definitely treat this one as like a track by track. Maybe we'll have like a subset of the show where we can do track by tracks.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we could treat different albums differently. We could have an episode where we cover like 5 albums.
Okay.
Where we have like a grab bag. We don't have to, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's, out there. We have a lot to cover.
Yeah, this one's going to be my first pick, and then we'll probably do something like The Forces of Evil on the next one.
Oh, man, that's a good second pick. I'm going to have to think about what I'm going to pick next. I'm glad we picked this one first because I wanted to come from, our origins and what we latched onto right away. I mean, I know you latched onto Say Ferris, you didn't listen to, but Real Big Fish was the first band I latched onto.
Tokyo Ska Orchestra is it's not super recent, but it's like one of the ones I got in the middle.
Yeah. But they're so incredibly talented.
Yeah, I just identify with it so much.
This is my aesthetic.
It is. This is my my soundtrack.
This is it. All right. We'll look forward to that next time, everybody. This has been the Rude Boys podcast, starring me, Kyle, and Austin. He's not gonna do his thing. I remember. I can't leave you.
You fell for the same trap.
I fell for the same trap.
You got bamboozled. Straight up troll.
Oh man! Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, keep on skanking.
Is that like a catchphrase right here?
I'm doing it. I'm putting it in. Can't stop me.
I gotta go before I do something stupid. I gotta go.